Hey guys, hub drives versus mid drives. What should you get? Here is an example. I've got a Avanti Montari E Sport, which has got a Shimano Steps mid drive, versus a Shogun SB200, which has a rear hub drive. Okay, so this is the Shogun hub drive. In this case, the hub drive is in the rear wheel. The good news is it sort of drives the wheel directly, so it doesn't put any wear and tear on your drivetrain. The bad news is, because it doesn't use your drivetrain, it's sort of got no gears. So when you get to a hill, while you can change down to a lower gear yourself and still keep your pedalling cadence up, the motor can't. So the slower you go, the more inefficient the hub drive becomes, and you tend to find that when you get to really steep stuff that you would struggle with on a normal bike, the hub drive's pretty much struggling too. It's still better than going up on a normal bike, but not much. The mid drive, on the other hand, is actually in the cranks there. So you can see the drive unit's actually behind your chainring there. Now, that on the bad side means that it's putting more wear and tear on your complete drivetrain, because every bit of power it generates goes through chain, derailleurs, etc. But the good news is it is using your rear cluster. So when you get to a hill, you can drop down into a low gear and you're still pedaling fairly quickly, therefore the motor's still turning fairly quickly as well and nice and efficiently, and it does a much, much, much better job of getting you up a hill than what a hub drive will. Now, the hub drive operates with what they call a cadence sensor. So when you turn the pedals, the motor engages to whatever level you have it set for. On the Shogun, I've got levels 1 through 5. Whichever level I set that to, as soon as I start pedaling, I get that full level. Now, that's good on one hand and bad on two others. The good bit is you can say select level 3, start pedaling in first gear, motor engages, will push you up to the Australian legal limit of 25 kilometres an hour, when then it will cut out, damn it. But you could still be in first gear, and it does not care how hard you are pedaling, it'll still keep going. So even if you're just ticking the pedals over in first gear and not having any effect on the bike, the motor still sees the pedals are turning and tries to get you to 25 kilometres an hour. So that's great if you don't want to put in much effort into pedaling. You can basically let the motor do all the work for you. But there's two negatives to that. One is a minor one. If you want to go fairly slowly, the motor always wants to get you up to 25 kilometres an hour, so you have to keep stop and starting with your pedaling to maintain a slow speed. Say if you're going with a child or somebody walking or a pet or something like that, and you don't want to do 25 kilometres an hour. So that's a little bit tricky, but it's only a very minor inconvenience. The major inconvenience is because it works like that, it sucks the battery pretty hard. Now, I've got a 10.4 amp hour battery on this, and about 35 kilometres is about as far as I can go on gentle rail trails, and that with level 1 assistance. The manual says it'll do 100k, and quite frankly the manual's full of shit, because it won't get to anything like that. When you turn the display on, it will tell you with a fully charged battery that there's 37 kilometres to go. That's more realistic. So if you want to go long distances on the hub drive, then spring for the biggest battery you can get. This one is only available with a 10.6, I think, amp hour battery. And as I say, about as far as you'll get out of that's about 35k on level 1. You might do a bit better on flatter ground or if you're on bitumen. But yeah, economy, not its strong suit. Alright, so I'm on pedal assist level 3. And I'm going to leave it in first gear. This is the hub drive. Still in first gear, not putting any effort into this. Still in first gear, 25 kilometres an hour. that is quite fun. Yeah, so as you can see, you can get full power out of the motor and ride along not putting any effort into it, which is great if that's what you want to do. But keep in mind, that's going to suck the battery at a pretty alarming rate. And if I kept doing that, I'm probably going to get 25-30k range out of the battery. Now, the mid-drive operates on what they call a torque sensor. So it not only senses when you're turning the pedals to engage the motor, but it senses how hard and how much effort you are putting in and responds in kind. This one has got eco, normal and high settings, so there's 3 settings, and that adds something like, don't quote me on this, something like 75% power in eco, 150% power and 250% power on high. That is on top of the force you are putting into the pedals. So if you are pedaling with no effort, it won't give you any power. If you drop down a couple of gears when you get to the hill and put a bit of effort into the pedaling, it will respond with heaps of power and you'll go flying up the hill. And this has got sort of 2 positives and 1 negative. The 1 negative is you do have to put a bit more effort into your pedaling. You can't just tick the pedals in without any effort and have the motor go like you can with a hub drive. Positive is you can maintain any speed you want because it's just like riding a normal bike. When you want power, just press a bit harder on the pedals and the motor kicks up the power. The other huge advantage is that it's a very economical way of doing it. This is a slightly bigger battery than the Shogun, but only like sort of 5 or 10%, but I can get over twice the range. I can easily get 80 kilometres out of this. This is, I think it's a 418 watt hour battery. So this is the mid-drive on normal. I'm in 2nd gear, and if I keep pedalling slowly like I do with the hub drive, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening at all. As soon as I start to put a bit of pressure on the pedal, away we go. If you're after sort of long distances with good economy and you don't mind putting in a bit more effort into your pedaling and you don't mind paying a bit more for the bike because mid-drives are more expensive than hub drives, buy the mid-drive. If on the other hand you want the bike to do as much work as possible, you don't have big hills to get up and you want to save a bit of money and you don't have long distances to go, although that can be fixed with a bigger battery, buy the hub drive. So I hope that has been a little bit of a help to you.